right. We are heading out on our Monday morning commute. Let's see what fun things we encounter today. M3, let me see if I can get through here. And then I'm gonna get up to the top of this little hill. I think I can. The bus behind me with those evil ads. It's like, cool, thanks. All right, well, let's see if this road right here is paved. I don't think it is. Hello. Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. A horn would get their attention. A horn would be much better on these city bikes. Okay, so whew, it is a nice, like, let's say maybe 70 degrees this morning, mid-September. I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt. That kind of weather. Oh, wonderful. Oh, so interesting. So the gravel in the bike lane has been sort of cleared, but Columbus Avenue bike lane or street here is still not paved. So that's annoying, but what are you gonna do? Oh yeah. Whew, I'm already winded, already tired. So yeah, so I had this idea. I wanted to share some thoughts. I had this idea for some tech ideas. Oh, first of all, yeah, I was able to, over the weekend, I was able to spend a little bit of time on fixing the 311 submission component as part of the Reported app. So Reported, which is an app that makes it easy for you to file submissions about cars blocking bike lanes, blocking crosswalks, and quickly file them to 311, where they can be formally handled by either the NYPD or the TLC, or in the future other agencies in New York City. About a week ago, it basically automatically submits them on your behalf by going to 311's website and then basically filling out a form. And it's automated. But it still does have to open like Firefox and kind of control the browser like a human would. And something happened where 311 added a CAPTCHA, an awful CAPTCHA, or they're called reCAPTCHAs now. CAPTCHA is a way to determine that you're not a bot, that you're not a computer, and it makes you, as a human, do awful, tedious tasks, like click all the pictures of an intersection, click all the pictures of a traffic light, and it's pretty awful work, if you can call it work. I don't know what it is, but anyway, it's training for self-driving cars, what it really is. So last week 311 added something where they added a CAPTCHA into this flow, which basically breaks my script because it can't get through the CAPTCHA, and there's no human involved, so you can't really break it, at least not easily. Like, I just wanted them to remove it, so I emailed director 311. I said, hey, did you know this is what's happening? She said, okay, well, I can't remove this, but what you can do is sign up, like use a formal sign in with a login and password, and if you submit complaints that way, you bypass the CAPTCHA. You don't actually get it. However, they all have to go through this single sign-in account, which is really inaccurate, right? Because I'm not the real person submitting it. I'm submitting it on behalf of hundreds and hundreds of other people who have very different emails and very different phone numbers and may need to be contacted and all that. So I had to modify some stuff. It's really not like an ideal solution, but we got through it. Did a bunch of fixes over the weekend, plus last night, which was over the weekend, and this morning was able to get through most of the 250 backlog. Oh, here's a car in a bike lane. This is a TLC vehicle. Let's see. Read off its plate, T77709OC. You were in the bike lane. So I was able to fix that over the weekend. You know, it's kind of a thankless task. I mean, it isn't a thankless task, but things are always going wrong. You know, every couple of months there's something with 311 or whatever that's just not really working correctly, and it ends up being pretty critical, right? Because there's a single point of failure, which is me. So if anything goes wrong on the submission process, it just starts backlogging, and you know, we get like 60 to 80 submissions every single day. People expect that their submissions are then submitted to 311 in a timely manner. This guy's just blocking the crosswalk. The MTA looks on. Oh, here's a door in the door zone. This is very common. This is exactly what you would expect when you put parking right next to bike lanes. Cool, that guy's just sort of fiddling with something. Hey, a UPS truck. This is A+ right here. I mean, he could have parked at the curb, but I'm not going to complain here. Oh, he's in the back, but A+ right there. Tire was at least 6 inches over, you know, past the bike lane line. Well done, UPS. So yeah, so that's how I spent. No, I didn't spend the weekend on this, but I did fix this over the weekend. Unblocked some major critical component, and now we're good. We're starting the week off strong, and I'm happy about that. It's not such a great parking job, UPS. Don't know what you're thinking there. Those are lines. All of those lines mean at least it's either a crosswalk or no parking anytime. Both of those things you're parked over. Not sure if you recognize that. Wouldn't it be great if all UPS drivers, like all of the drivers, like Time Warner and Spectrum and FedEx and Fresh Direct, and like everybody just like followed the rules to the T and said, okay, well, I can't unload, right? I can't do my job legally. So they literally like slowed down, right? Maybe they'd be like half as productive. They wouldn't be able to finish their shifts, right? And it would be very like helpful, because it would tell UPS like, hey, maybe this business model isn't working out, and so you need to maybe apply some pressure to whatever, New York City, DOT, the mayor, your customers, you know, internally, your own logistics. figure out like how to do this more efficiently while following laws and the rules. But like we don't really do that. They just sort of break all the rules and do things in a kind of a much sloppier way. And so what ends up happening is these natural checkpoints, like these natural checks for, you know, well, laws, or traffic laws in this case, or traffic signs or whatever, regulations, are just not passed, they're not followed. And so then it becomes business as usual. Well, okay, this is just how UPS operates. Well, they're just doing their jobs. Postal Service. Oh, Postal Service. Well, how are they going to do it if they don't just, you know, park on the sidewalk here and block everybody? How is this going to work? And that's the problem, right? Like, if they just all were required to follow the laws and all these regulations that they might find quite onerous to their business and their bottom line, they may be compelled to join the rest of us in safe streets advocacy by pushing for safer loading zones, for pushing for a massive reduction in just on-street parking, free parking. All of those things are 100% in line with the value, sort of the bottom line value that Fresh Direct and UPS and all of them provide. They want that, so they would be natural allies in this fight. But because they are companies and they just need to make money and do their job, and individually, like, it all falls under the individuals who are driving these trucks, and they got to get home to their families and they got to finish their shift, and if they don't finish in time, they get docked some pay or whatever. All that stuff is true, and that's pretty shitty, right? And so it all, again, kind of falls on the shoulders of the lowest level workers who are just trying to scrape by a living. I don't think it's quite scraping by. I think those are pretty decent jobs, but still, you get the idea. They're not the executives at UPS making these decisions, right? They're probably completely they're just like, okay, well, I guess we just get tickets and we just pay those tickets and it's part of business as usual. But imagine that the tickets are 10 times or 100 times more costly, right? Imagine that tickets were automated. Imagine that vehicles were immediately impounded and towed, and you're like, yeah, no, you're literally not going to finish your shift and just pay a $20 fine for temporarily, you know, for blocking the bike lane for an hour while you unloaded. You're literally not going to be able to finish your shift, and 1,000 customers are going to be impacted. Now, in that case, the UPS executives may listen a little bit closer and may take more of an interest in the regulations and street design of the cities in which they operate. They may be like, huh, because that already is happening, right? So UPS already has bicycle style, you know, cargo bikes. They're not bicycle style, they're cargo bikes. They're straight up cargo bikes that are last mile shipment logistics, right? And obviously they're able to operate in places that take parking much more seriously than us, that have lots of deliveries, that have people who buy on Amazon. All the same stuff applies. It's just that they're not regulated in those, in like New York and other lax places, but they are way more on the ground in Europe, right? Gas is expensive, so they have to deal with that, and that's a business expense that they have to adjust to. And so we have all the levers to get them to do whatever we want. We being the residents of an amazing city in which we live and want to see thrive. Okay, so on to my idea. I haven't passed my sweater yet, so I dropped my sweater on Friday morning and I don't think I'm going to find it. because I think it would have been over there. So, so the idea is really simple. It's basically, I want to know kind of the violations of all the drivers and cars that I pass on a given bike ride. So you can see I'm already recording my rides on a GoPro. GoPro is very high quality. You can freeze frame. You know, I think I'm shooting at 2.7K, not 4K, because that just takes up too much space and it doesn't even do stabilization at that resolution. But 2.7 is great. You can see how kind of high quality it is. And I've always been really impressed since I got it a couple months ago at how great the quality has been. It's very reliable. It's very good, this camera. So what I was thinking is to kind of kick it up a notch a little bit and see if I could take my ride and automatically calculate like how many cars I had to be near, right? So basically automatically process the video, look at every license plate that is readable within the video. So I have to run this through a license plate reader. We use one, it's called Open, Open ALPR, which is Auto License Plate Reader. And it's a service that's on the web, and they basically turn it into a paid service, but I think we get 20,000 calls a month for free. A call being a lookup, an individual lookup. But it's built on top of open source software called Open ALPR. I think I could be wrong about some of this, but basically I was trying to tinker with it over the weekend also, just to see what it could do. Couldn't get it to run, couldn't compile a bunch of stuff because I'm pretty rusty and it's hard with kids, you know. But the idea is basically run this video through a processor. It's pretty straightforward. Get all the license plates that it recognizes. Run all those license plates through Brian Howell's How's My Driving. How's My Driving is an app. It's a Twitter bot. It's also a web app that he built that basically compiles the last 5 years of tickets, like parking tickets, speeding tickets, everything. These are called open violations in New York City. So these are violations. You can look up all the violations for any given license by license plate. So you can quickly look up, like, how is this person's driving history? What are they like? And what I thought would be really interesting is just do a baseline, like on a typical ride, like what kind of drivers am I passing by? I mean, I have a sense of, I kind of know the answer to that question, but I'd love to have some data sort of back it up and say, okay, well, I passed, we did 1,000 license plate lookups, and you know, 800 of them have speeding tickets or whatever. I don't know what the numbers will be. I imagine they will be somewhat high, but you can find all kinds of interesting data just from that. Obviously, like, look at, I'm on the Greenway here, so I'm not really riding in traffic for most of my commute, so it's, yeah, obviously it's quite relaxing and very safe. But on times when I am, like when I go up 6th Avenue or God forbid 8th Avenue, that was not that much fun, and not really any faster, to be honest. Really kind of slower. Shouldn't have been though, but I basically want to see what is the baseline, the output, how many cars have a history of violations and how much and of what type, right? I think that could give you a pretty cool sense very quickly. Like if you combined all that, there's a guy in Australia who I reached out to who basically did this. And what he did was they have a slightly different sort of violation system lookup where you can plug in any license plate and it'll return publicly. There's a public web page or endpoint where you can look up an Australian license plate, or maybe in Victoria or wherever wherever province they're in. If the license is expired, that's a little bit different than what we have, where you're just looking up like parking tickets. I don't know if we know if you can publicly find whether or not a license is expired based on the license plate. But nevertheless, this coder found this interesting because the city had invested like $86 million in a system that would basically go on like a dash cam, I think, for police cars. And they would ride around. Basically, all it really did was looked at plates, looked them up, basically against the system, but maybe they looked up against other systems that they had access to that were private, whatever, and determined in real time whether or not the license was expired and whether or not that person should then be pulled over and the car taken away. I don't know exactly what the deal is. It's Australia, so everything's upside down over there. No. But he thought, oh, this is kind of interesting. Could I replicate this? And he did. And it's, you know, he acknowledges that he does it at kind of lower quality. Oh, look at that. It's a nice big group ride here. Everybody looking happy and older. This is an older crowd there. Just want to point that out. And so he said he did it in like 50 lines of code, 57 lines of code, something like that. I didn't actually see the code. It's kind of interesting, but and that's effectively what I want to do. He basically created like a dash cam, put a camera, wired the camera up to like a Raspberry Pi, I think, or something, had it take photos or run the photos through a open source license plate reader that just attempted at a high confidence to determine, okay, there's a license plate, this is the real license plate, you know, and it's legible, this is correct, this is whatever. And then it ran that license plate, the actual plate, through this open source lookup system for the city, and then it just spit out a result. And it was like, fail or success. And he showed it, he sort of overlaid it. He did do a little bit of video editing to sort of make it look a little cleaner, but you know, where he basically showed the video and then showed little pop-ups in the video, like this plate looked up and here's what it determined. And he caught like some actual, I mean, just in a little bit of test video, he caught some real people who had been, I guess, their licenses were expired, so they owed money or whatever. They were in violation of something. That's what I want to do in real time for cyclists. So that's kind of the next level idea that I had, which is that basically like a heads-up camera. It's a couple of components. So one is, I would love it if How's My Driving provided some sort of score, like a score between 0 and 100 of how dangerous a license plate is, like how weary you should be of this driver based on their the number of violations they have, the type of violations they have, how recent these violations are, various things, right? Various components. I feel like you could do that relatively easily. He already has all the data. Just needs to kind of rank it and provide some kind of scoring mechanism to all that. It doesn't even have to be like a pure ranking. It could be like, cool, if you have 5, then you are like red and you're like a 99 out of 100 in terms of threat level. Let's call it a threat level score. Bike threat level, pedestrian threat level. And so I feel like that's component 1. If you had that to quickly look up, like here, FDE 7071, I can see in this Kia right here. I would know like how nervous should I be, you know? Particularly, you know, I think I'm thinking of the people who confront drivers who are parked in bike lanes, so they're not moving. But when you see somebody, and then if you knew that information beforehand, it might change the way you interact with them. So like if you knew this is a guy who got, or a gal who got, you know, whatever, 25 speeding tickets in the past 6 months, and should have their car impounded, like it may make you think twice, like maybe don't interact with them. They could be a cop, they could be who knows what. They're used to very reckless behavior. Versus other people where maybe a quick reminder, they don't realize that they're out of town, they have 0 violations. I think there's some, you know, something to be said about that. And so what I was thinking is if you combine that with real-time analytics, so you have a heads-up camera, I think you could probably do this with a cyclic camera. Cyclic is a pretty neat. Am I going through this red light? I guess I am. I don't love doing this. I want to set an example, but there's just nobody around. It's kind of like quiet. I'm gonna go in here. All right, I'm gonna let. Yeah, no, these people get to certainly get to cross here. So I think the idea is really to show a heads-up display in real time. Like that would be very, very cool. Obviously challenging for many, many, many reasons, but that's why I just want to start with my bike ride, with just my GoPro ride. Because I think if I can just run this through after the fact, yeah, it's not anticipation, like it's not like real time looking up anything and doing any action, but I can get a sense of, you know, if it even works, what the data might look like and all that. Cool. And then it got me thinking. I was telling my friend about this. He said, you know, you could incorporate this into this driverless car technology that's open source. It's called shoot, I'm blanking on it. Something.ai, but it's the open source autonomous vehicle software that apparently is quite good and not that complicated to integrate into your car. And he thought, wouldn't it be cool to include this kind of an idea into that? So if you're driving and it's like, hey, we just looked up his license plate here, you know, and this guy has 27 speeding tickets, you know, there's a different behavior that you might have when you are aware of a little bit of context of the people in which that you're driving around. So, yeah, so that's my idea. I'm sure many people have had that idea, but this one is mine. No. I will eventually get to that when I get to everything else that I have to do in my life. You know, there's a lot of really cool improvements that we could just do on recorded that I think of a lot. I mean, I don't even use it much anymore. I don't submit anything, but I think I would once we have some new components in there. Like, I think one of the interesting things, a lot of people have asked for a variety of new, hey, it's chopper talk. It's Colbert. I'm calling it chopper talk. It's me talking over the sound of a helicopter. Chopper talk. Let's see. Nope, and I missed it. Oh, what a bummer. Yeah, there's a left turn now. We just turned left. Now I'm in no rush. Oh, that's dope. That's so wild. Handlebar. Oh yeah, Friday. Friday afternoon, I was interviewed by Citibank, for a Citibank sort of sponsored article about sort of, I think, like green living, or like living well. And they did a little profile of me as part of other people, but I don't know who they are. Because I wrote this blog post about how getting citybike really changed my life, and made me really want to, just one of the best things I ever did was start biking in the city, and started biking to work like here. One thing we started the interview and we were just chatting, and then I started kind of riffing and talking about how much value. She asked, like, kind of what is biking done for you? She's talking in terms of like, oh, your health's gone up, because you're sort of exercising all the time, and I'm like, yeah, those are all true. Those are all huge like values that I think are automatic when you start to bike. But this person straight up texted, like, head down, JJT 8419 in this Honda, like, just straight up, not even looking up through this intersection. What's going on? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Beautiful day for a bike ride. It is, yeah. I've been recording my rides. I just talk to myself.
Oh, okay.
It's a biketalk.nyc. If you're interested.
What is it? You actually have a blog for it, or what?
Yeah, I just uploaded them to YouTube. So I'm just like chatting with people on the ride. Mostly I just talk to myself about bike infrastructure. It's called Bike Talk.
Bike infrastructure? Like the roads you mean?
Yeah. Like about how shitty everything is laid out.
I'm actually a big biker. This is my commute bike. I just did the Century, actually.
Oh, you did? Oh, you did the last one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I love biking. I go to the North Fork almost every weekend.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, the roads here suck, though.
Yeah.
If you have a road bike, I don't know if you ever heard of Gator tires.
Oh, no.
They're really good.
Are those big fat ones?
No,
like...
they're not.
I just have city bike. I don't have.
Okay.
I just commute.
No, the road bikes on these roads, you just get constant flats.
Yeah.
With these tires,
There you go.
they got
Oh, thanks.
the road bikes called Gator Skins.
Gator skins. Okay.
They're I mean, you're not gonna fly, but it's the best you'll find for a road bike, and I've never got a flat with them.
Nice.
So,
That's
maybe
something.
someone will hear that on your website.
Yeah. Gator skins. This episode's sponsored by Gator Skins.
I'm actually right here. Have a good day.
All right, cool, man. Have a good one. And so that's cool. This guy is not looking. This is definitely filled out, and that's pretty cool. I got to talk to more people on the bike ride. They're friendly, usually. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they just want to get to work, put their head down. But when you got 2.5 minutes to kill at a highway intersection like that, oh man, gator skins. Cool. So yeah, what was I saying? This profile was talking about, what kind of benefits did I see from biking, and of course, there's the health benefits. There's you notice a lot of things, like all this trash in this. They call it bike lane, but really I call it a bike gutter. But one of the other big values was becoming part of a community, and all the advocacy that comes along with this. When you start riding within kind of shoddy infrastructure, there's like a saying that if you're, I don't know, I said this, but I think I definitely copied this from someone else and I saw in a tweet, but if you're a cyclist, you're like automatically an advocate, just simply by existing. You are an advocate. You're being seen, and you effectively are like want safe streets, and you want some infrastructure, so you become a bike advocate and fighting for the safety that you deserve. In a way that, like, being a pedestrian, you're not really doing that, and certainly as a driver, you're like, I just want free parking, give me my parking, and you fight for like kind of all selfish things for the most part. Everybody stopped here, but they can all go. Oh, this guy with his cool. So yeah, those are some of the things I talked about you know, sort of getting to be like becoming part of the bike community in New York. It's an amazing community that's just growing and growing. Being able to participate in advocacy, building Recorded, and really like, originally I built it for honking, you know, because I was like, noise, because I wasn't cycling at that time. This was like 5 years ago. But then realizing that most of the cyclists were the ones using it. And then once I started biking, I learned, okay, yeah, this is actually a huge problem that really demands a lot more attention. So I focused the entire app around, mostly around being a cyclist in New York. I missed this light. Oh well. I am just under this tree here. Here we go. Hey, how's it going? So, find out when that article comes out. Man, it is a beautiful day out though. This is like the 4th straight week of just like great riding weather. I'm bummed I missed critical mass. It's critical mass, but for kids. I saw some of the pictures. It was really cute. A lot of kids came out, biked, and raised awareness on the need for safe streets because they benefit everybody. And this is me. Like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. BikeTalk.NYC.